go. That's that music I love.
All right, welcome everyone to DeFi Standard. It's Mickey B. Fresh, and I got PattyXRP.
Yeah, PattyXRP. Love it. We're good at messing those up, but it's all right.
Welcome everyone. All right, so after this, I'm probably gonna release a video or in the morning. Just that's why we got started a little late. Sorry about that. But Patty got a couple videos out last 2 days. Good job. Hope you all loving those. So I think let's start off with that, with the whole F assets, Patty.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And then we'll have part 3 coming out tomorrow as well, which is going to be combining the F asset rewards you earn, and then immediately delegating those to the FTSO. Okay, so you can start to see that, kind of flywheel compounding effect that'll happen. And it starts happening really quick, which is exciting to see what kind of potential there is, especially if you're going to be an early adopter. And one of the things is I haven't even built out how we're going to be getting the rewards for, allowing our Spark to be used as collateral, which, we don't know exactly how that'll work, but it's very possible that we may be getting some of these, the native version of these F assets, which I'm really excited about. If I'm sitting there and I'm helping provide collateral for FLTC or FXLM or FDoge, it seems like a really easy way to, diversify. Maybe I can mint those into F assets immediately, or, convert them into Spark and then provide more collateral and delegate to the FTSO. Mm-hmm. So it just opens up a lot of options for us, and
absolutely
just really excited about that. Yeah.
And the fact that the XRP community is receiving the Spark airdrop, that means it's more likely that the XRP community is going to mint F assets. So what that means, if you have Spark staked in the F asset system, you're going to be earning XRP. So then you won't have to worry about as much of that transferring. I think Doge community will come, Litecoin will come, and please, after you see my recent video, do not knock Doge, because it's going to have massive utility. So there's no more of this, it doesn't have utility. It has a lot more than utility. It has smart contracts, it's got yield, and it has fast settlement. It has all types of different things that it never had.
Yeah, possibly use it as collateral in the future with some of these products. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine taking out a loan on FDoge in the Flare Loans platform. Like, that's just kind of crazy to think. Maybe 3 months ago, we'd kind of be like, oh, you guys are crazy. But, now it's become a reality. We'll see how obviously Doge has gone up a ton in price over the past month. So, we'll see how much that holds, if it has some retracements. But I mean, even if it falls back to like, 10, 15 cents, that's still a good amount of value that's in that blockchain that's ripe to be brought over onto the Flare network.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so Mojo Gringo's got a good question here. He goes, what's the reason Hugo is holding back on the LTC rewards? I'm on the fence about buying Spark versus LTC. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I was thinking about getting some LTC, but I was kind of not sure if they have a trigger there where if you start buying it and then all of a sudden, it doesn't trigger and then it gets dumped into the general rewards pool. I would like to know a definitive there. What do you think, Patty?
Yeah, I mean, they just said it's going to be closer to launch. So I think it has to do with a lot of this other information as far as them setting parameters. They probably want to get a good idea what the participation looks like before they lock themselves in to any fixed rate that's going to be delivered, as well as like a threshold. So I just think like they don't want to tie themselves in right now, which I mean, it kind of sucks for people that are looking to maybe take advantage of that strategy. But, they're not trying to basically set it up for just a couple individuals that may want to buy Litecoin to earn Spark. They got to do it in a way that gets the best adoption in the quickest way and also in a sustainable way. So I think they're just taking as much time as they need to make sure that's all set up well.
Absolutely. And he said it, Hugo, they are going to massively reward those who participate early because it brings utility to the network, it brings participation, and it strengthens the network out the gate. So that reward you're getting it's not just a handout. Your participation is a part of the network. And then your governance too. The more Spark you earn, then you're part of that governance. You're like the founding fathers of it, and you'll have an equal say. So when it comes time to decide, are we going to lower the fee for F assets? Are we going to lower the inflation rate? Then we could have actual conversations about it, because the Flare team is completely out. They cannot make any more unilateral decisions after the network goes live. It's up to us.
Well, did you see, Mickey? So Flare officially announced on Twitter today that they are going to implement that bidding system for, deciding the creation fee. Yeah, so I was pretty excited to see that. So
nice.
What the way they described that, and I went into their Telegram too to just ask about it. They basically, like, when you put in to mint an F asset, you're going to get whoever's bidding the lowest fee out of all the agents, and that's the fee that's going to be used. So we'll see, like, if there's crazy demand for F assets to be minted, obviously agents can charge a little higher fee. That's just, natural market, free market, forces right there, which I love. But like, let's say in the early days, if you want to be an early adopter and not a lot of other people are minting F assets, you may get a discount for doing that early now. We'll have to see how it starts working when the F asset system goes live. But I like this because, if there's a ton of demand and the agents are able to raise their creation fee, essentially, that's going to incentivize them even more so to, meet that demand. And they're going to go and buy more Spark to use as collateral because they're getting paid more to do so.
Well, are they going to be the ones who are earning the whole fee, though? I feel like that would be distributed amongst the whole pool.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely going to be distributed amongst other people, but they're going to be getting some of that fee. That's kind of the point. And they're going to be operating with a much larger capital reserve than, individuals like us would. So,
Yeah, I still think it's going to be a machine. I know we use the word agent and there'll be somebody behind it, but it's probably just going to be some type of just automated machine that we just running by itself.
Agents are a placeholder word until we get a better one to describe it. Yeah, exactly.
But it's used in AI and machine learning a lot, and that's really what you need. It's basically just balancing out the collateral there. And there were some interesting things. I look back at a Hugo video, and the agents have the ability. It's trustless, but it gives them flexibility on how they want to handle, their situation there. No retail investor should try to be really an agent, in my opinion. You just have to have that knowledge. You have to have the hardware. You have to have the setup, and you have to have the resources. You have to have a reserve and, access to capital, a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, there's a lot of expertise that goes into it, and, having capital as well as technical capabilities like data analytics. So there's a lot to do there, but it's going to be fairly lucrative for them to do this, as the agents are going to assume a lot of the risk. So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is something we need to point out. So on Flare, it's different than Ethereum. So just because you need specialty software and you need the knowledge and the expertise to be able to run as an agent and between the Flare network and these native assets of the F assets, their blockchains. Everyday users who hold Spark can still participate. They can still delegate their votes. They still have an ability to earn a part of it. Unlike on Ethereum and Bitcoin, only the miners earn all the fees and earn all the rewards, the inflation rewards. Bitcoin mining is inflation. Ethereum mining is inflation. They are the only ones who could earn that. And once they earn that, and they earned 1.5 billion last month on both. On Ethereum was 1.5 billion and Bitcoin 1.5 billion. What did they do with that 1.5 billion Bitcoin and then 1.5 Ethereum? They probably dumped it right back on the market. And nobody ever says anything about that. Meanwhile, when Ripple sells just a little, they're putting all that back in to build a whole ecosystem. And it's like a minuscule amount. So it just bothers me that it's never talked about by any of like the Novogratzes or any of the Anthony Pompliano. Nobody ever wants to talk about where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I would speculate it's because they already have their money in these systems and they want to make sure that people keep putting more money into it because it's easier to sell out of your position.
Well, they're not a participant,
with more liquidity over time.
They're
but they're holding Bitcoin. So, I mean, I think
they're
Pompliano and Novogratz.
Oh, I mean them, yeah. But the miners.
Yeah. I don't
network. What do they do?
I don't know if they actually hold it. They probably sell a lot of it because they're running a business operation where they're trying to get, every month they need to get some income in, every quarter reporting that stuff. So, yeah.
And the electricity paid for. And, that's the misaligned incentives of those type of networks. And Satoshi, when he created it, he thought everyone could just mine. And what happens? It became more and more centralized. But it's still secure, but it's inefficient. That's really what it comes down to. It's just an inefficient system. And proof of stake, unless it's done like the way Cardano's kind of heading in the right direction, but Ethereum, if they just, it's going to be difficult to switch from proof of work to proof of stake. It's really going to throw that whole network for a loop, in my opinion. It's just going to throw the apps off. It's just going to change the whole dynamic. And is the network going to be able to survive? Is it going to be able to handle that transition to a whole new, monetary system? It's like saying you just ripped out, the U.S. and they threw in, just socialist China. Something like that. I mean,
there'll be some issues, that happen. Yeah, I think some people be pissed off. Just like, if you, there's just so much room for things to go wrong when switching the entire, consensus up and everything. So it's, if they could pull it off flawlessly, then, congrats to the dev team over there. But that's just a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of time and planning to get that done.
Yeah,
there's got to be so much stress testing and tons of stuff.
Yeah, and then you're transitioning these miners who now are going to lose their whole business models out the window. I mean, they could maybe go to other networks like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. Or are they going to be validators and proof of stake? Because then you have to put up your Ethereum and lock it up for a year or two, and you can't do anything with it. It's not like you could get capital appreciation, but you can't use it to do anything else. And that's where Flare and Spark has the advantage. Because Spark, you'll always have those two use cases with the asset. Ethereum just doesn't have that. It's my understanding it was 2023, 2024, where they're looking to realistically be fully over there.
Yeah, that's such a long time from now, especially in the crypto space. That can change a lot.
Speaking
and I just want to...
I was going to say the gas feed, the screenshot.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Insane. So somebody just posted on Twitter. This might be one of the highest ones I've seen. They were doing a trade on Uniswap. They were $2,800, and it failed. Charged them $200. Then they finally got through. It was $350. So $550 out of a $2,800 swap for fees. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just absurd. That's unstable, he said.
Yeah, and for context, I don't know. Some people may know his name's Alex Becker. He has a show on YouTube. He talks about crypto now. He's like a multi-millionaire, and he's complaining about that stuff. So he's just kind of like, how is this going to be used in the long run? And I saw Azog Crypto gave us a post about how they launched a bond, a zero coupon interest bond on Ethereum. And I was like, great. So you can pay a ton of gas fees for a bond that's paying zero interest. I was like, that is really exciting.
Yeah, well, it depends how many times you
Uh,
need to do a transaction. So
yeah, well, it's
I
still
guess if
zero
it's still
interest. So
zero,
it's just
yeah,
like,
it's just a zero interest bond.
that's like, what's the point?
Yeah, that's just, and it also takes away from, you can't even attempt to create business models or products that deal with low value. You can't even go near it. This is why Flare is focusing on the gaming and the NFT marketplaces, because they could do everything at low value, micropayment, streaming, at ease. Those aren't even feasible on Ethereum. You can't even go near them. You have to do like off-chain bidding and auctions. So I think we're going to see gaming and NFT marketplace explode on Flare.
I mean,
That's,
Gala Games
yeah, it's
tweeted
gonna
again
blow
today
up.
that it was unusable
It's
on
unusable.
Ethereum for their users basically, and they can't wait to get over to Flare.
Yeah, and then they
So
got to do all these other things to avoid the gas fees, and that takes away from the user experience and the complexity of what you could create. And on Flare, you won't have any of those problems. And Forte has been working for 2 to 3 years behind the scenes, setting up, for the XRP ledger and for Flare network. So another thing I just want to throw out there, I said in the video, I downloaded the Zum app wallet and very impressed. There was a 2.0. If anyone's interested, you literally can trade right there on the XRP Ledger DEX. Super user friendly. You pay $5, 5 XRP for each trust line of an asset that you would be willing to set a trust line with to trade against. So like Bitstamp USD, what was the other one? Bitstamp Bitcoin, GateHub Ethereum, GateHub Gold, and there were different ones on there. They don't all have deep liquidity, but if you wanted to, say you wanted to just, the market's crashing and you didn't want to go make an actual trade back on an exchange, you could just swap some XRP into Bitstamps USD and then come back and do it right from your wallet. And I thought that was like just amazing. There's Casino Coin on there. Doesn't have much liquidity now. Also, Sologenics DEX app went live. It's not available yet in the Apple store yet. It's on Android on the Play Store. But I was able to connect the Zum wallet to the Sologenic DEX wallet. And that was pretty cool. So it's great to see the full functionality of the ledger. You could create an escrow. You could issue your own tokens. What else can you do? You could set up like an address book, create a savings account with the Tangum card, so you could throw your nanos away. I know people hate when I say that, but it's just so much easier to use with the Tangum card compared to the nano, because you never have to connect to the internet. It never touches the internet. It's never online to connect to. So I just like that Witse did that, and it's getting the full functionality of Ledger. It's unfortunately not going to connect to Flare, most likely, but it's still, I was very happy with the user experience. It was excellent. Excellent.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for a time where, a lot of the trading is going to be happening on DEXs, and we already see that move on Ethereum with Uniswap in a big way. It's just like, what we have, Coinbase and a bunch of other exchanges went down yesterday during a flash crash, and it just wipes people out. Anybody that's, trading on margin or, needs to set some kind of stop loss, it just kind of wipes them out. And who knows who's messing with that data on the back end. We have like Robinhood, who sells, their retail users trading and their trades, so that bigger company or bigger investment funds can front run and make decisions based on what the masses are doing. So like, we just have no kind of insight into what's going on with decentralized exchanges. As a part, with the DEX, it's just all on chain, so that data is publicly available. So yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, it's publicly available. They can't high frequency trade or get away with any of those things. Like, I think it's a great balance out between having the XRP Ledger's DEX with an RA stablecoin there, and you have those, issued assets. Yeah, they have a counterparty, but if it's like Bitstamp, you'll trust them, that asset. Or if it's like an institution, like Standard Custody, you'll trust them. And then you have the automated market maker liquidity pools and real hardcore DeFi stuff on Flare with Ethereum base. So it's a great balance. And then you have the gateways that will connect to the centralized exchanges. But I don't think we're going to see an additional wave of centralized exchanges. I think there'll be a consolidation from here out. I don't think the banks and all these are going to spin up exchanges anytime soon. That model is just on its way down.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier that, it seems like security tokens could easily be traded on some centralized exchanges and stuff like that.
I don't know how they get liquidity. I think they have to go and
personally, when I think about, when we're going to have tokenized assets, like it'd be very helpful if they can trade against cryptos like easily. Yeah. So, we'll see what they do in regards to regulation, but it's just so much more liquidity when you have all these tokens available to trade freely against tokenized assets. It allows you to swap from like maybe a tokenized stock to a tokenized commodity very easily. If we have let's say just for XRP or something, you could be trading between Tesla stock over to, a tokenized gold or something just seamlessly through XRP. Mm-hmm. And that's the future where we want to get to, but, it just needs to be allowed to happen. Otherwise, it's just going to move, everything's going to move away from any kind of centralized entity.
Exactly. And I think it's going to securitize already with private equity. Like if you're going to issue digital securities natively on the ledger, on a blockchain, and it's private equity, right? Of say like Coinbase before they went live, or Ripple before they went live, or Uphold before they go live, or even a fund, and you issue that, it's going to be very hard to get liquidity on a regular order book, but you could do it on an automated market maker liquidity book. You just set the price and just provide the one side liquidity, and then when people want to buy, they buy. I mean, the asset on the other side you would think would be a stable coin though, but I'm sure they could create some very interesting designed liquidity pools for security tokens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we got synthetics too. So that's something I know Patty and I have talked about this, and I think it's going to be huge. So that's one thing that's out of the regulation realm. They can't really do anything about synthetic assets that just give you price exposure to those stocks, gold, whatever it is. It follows the price. It's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's definitely an easier task to bring those onto, a blockchain or ledger, because you just need to provide sufficient collateral in some asset that's not too volatile. So, similar to how using Spark to collateralize minting assets onto the Flare network, you could essentially, create a synthetic system that takes Spark as collateral for that, or it could take FXRP or FLTC for that. And you could bring on synthetics of assets that aren't normally on a blockchain. So, like different kinds of stocks, you can create derivatives out of that stuff. You could have like an inverse crypto synthetic to, hedge yourself to the downside some with one of your larger holdings in case there's just like a huge flash crash. So there's just a lot of different use cases for them. And for these, the bigger institutions to really want to play around on DeFi and put like serious money on these blockchains, they're going to need the derivatives tools to hedge, especially like anybody that's managing someone else's money. Like they're going to need all the tools they have in the current traditional system, or at least some new version of it, if they're going to come and start using, DeFi en masse.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, JP Morgan will get a taste of its own medicine, because then you can do synthetics on all their stocks. But you'll never be able to do that on the cryptos if they have enough utility and unique characteristics and features about themselves. Nobody's going to want a synthetic, only just to hedge a little, not to, replace it. Here's an interesting question. What do you think of this one, Patty? Buckeye G. Do you think there may be a problem with Delchain, Deltec Bank, and Tether? So do you mean problem as in within there, a whole like relationship, or with Flare's partnership?
I think he means with them being a part of the Flare network and having their relationship with Tether.
I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's a good thing.
It's a bank.
Yeah, I mean, they're custodying people's assets. I realize Deltec holds the Tether reserves, which, aren't particularly audited on a regular basis.
I think they have enough collateral there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they're even holding Bitcoin. They're holding something behind it. We've yet to see any type of crash from Tether since it's come out. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about that, but I mean, they make so much on the arbitrage. What they do that I don't like is they issue like 500 million before they're actually bought. So when you see that 500 Tether were issued, well, they're issued waiting to then be bought. I think they should be bought and then issued. I mean, that would just make
Which, I
more
mean,
sense.
isn't Bitfinex going to be, they're the ones that are issuing it anyways.
Yeah.
So like Deltec
Just the custodian.
custodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't issue
We're
it.
really excited about Delchain
Yeah.
and Deltec though, on Flare especially.
Because if we got Tether on, just having that connection from CeFi to DeFi just opens up the liquidity. And you need those connections between the Coinbases, the Binances, and Tether is the biggest market. I mean, it just is. It's $1. I mean, it's you could sell it whenever you want. We've yet to see any ever go below 99 cents at any point. So on Flare, it would be a totally different asset, though. It would have no gas fees. It would have the same smart contracts, and it would settle instantly. So it would be up to the exchanges to offer that Tether Flare based.
Yeah, and we definitely want to have like as many stablecoin options as possible because, you know, that's what's going to help you cash out to fiat if you need to pay bills or you want to, you know, buy something nice for yourself or whatever it may be, pay off a loan. And a lot of exchanges are already familiar with Tether as opposed to some of these newer stablecoins that are going to be on Flare network. So if Tether came in early and also was part of the Flare network, maybe that would facilitate, you know, being able, you know, an on and off ramp to fiat. So.
I think we see, and to be honest though, the XRP ledger is really the fiat on and off ramp. It's designed to be that way. That's what its main design feature is to have gateways around it so you can issue these currencies on it, all fiat, and an institution or a regulated entity can be that on and off ramp on the back end, connect to their legacy payment rails, and on the front end, host wallets for their customers and maybe their partners even too. So that's where I think we see the fiat come on, like different types. But, you know, Tether could go right there directly because it does have smart contracts. You can't use an issued asset on the XRP ledger in like a DeFi on Flare unless they're building their own DeFi ecosystem above the XRP ledger using like Codius or something.
Yeah. And oh yeah, so one thing I did want to address though, we had last live stream about that. So obviously CoinMarketCap still showing the 35 billion on for circulating supply of XRP. That did not disappear. Matt Hamilton confirmed on the Twitch live stream today, as well as some other like higher up XRP ledger devs like Weezy Win was on there and a couple others. And it's definitely from an API glitch. Ripple stopped like publishing that API. And for whatever reason, they fell back on a much older circulating supply number and just kind of, I guess, refused to fix it at this point.
All right.
So
I think you said
that kind of solves that. Yeah. And then I see, so Buckeye G has another good question. What role will Pack Global play? Just nodes? Well, they're going to be a signal provider. So that's definitely a possibility in the future that you could delegate your detachable Spark vote to them. And, you know, we'll see, maybe they could be an agent. I kind of like to speculate that we could see that just by the nature of them operating on a bunch of different blockchains. They definitely have a ton of data that they can use to manage that and experience, but we'll just have to see what they come out with that.
Yep. So Jimmy asks, are you going to address the layer 1 and other layer security risks? So yeah, I think we need the security audit with layer 1. The only true asset token on Flare is Spark. Same goes for Ethereum. The only real token or cryptocurrency is ETH. Everything else is a smart contract. So any of those ERC20s. So Spark is probably the safest to hold. And then any other Flare-based token will go in a Spark wallet. It's just that's different than the XRP ledger a little. It's hard to say the risks because we don't know the code. I mean, the Flare time series oracle, if everyone tried to attack that, the price went down. It's very unlikely, and the incentives are aligned in a way for accurate price feeds. where Chainlink is set up so that if you don't provide good price feeds, we're going to punish you. So, and this is like, if you do good price feeds, you're going to get rewarded. So it's just a better model. And that's Vitalik Buterin who said that is how Oracle should be set up.
Yeah, and also on that note of the FTSO, like the F asset pricing compared to the price of like the normal native asset. So there is like a little basis risk there that Hugo said, but that's going to be kind of filtered out with arbitrage. And obviously there's a lot of different exchanges across the world. And we know how, like, especially with XRP, the price diverges sometime. Like back in November when it ran up to 90 cents on Coinbase, but only got as high as like 78 cents on a few other exchanges. So there's going to be opportunities for that kind of arbitrage with the FTSO because it's, you know, it's aggregating all of these exchanges all over the world, their data, and bringing it together and finding like that middle ground. So we'll see some of that, definitely.
Okay, I'll just finish saying this out loud. So typing in. All right, so Mojo Gringo asked about what did Ripple get for that 100 million they invested into Forte. So it just happens today and yesterday, I found 3 patents from Forte Labs, and what they're building is massive. They're building basically the ultimate marketplace that's going to be built on Interledger, and it'll be allow you to trade any of these assets between them, in-game to out-of-game to fiat to XRP to everything. And they've been working on this for a long time. And one thing that was cool, they talked about how they use a native utility token with, in a way, with the NFTs that they complement each other and they add different features to it. So, I mean, I read through it really fast and it's patent talk, but I was pretty impressed how they're starting to use the 2 tokens to get like the utility token with the NFT to give it additional benefits. It's some cool things. So it was basically they created an NFT with a utility token to both work together, kind of. That was one thing. Then they created a trading marketplace, basically just a trading marketplace that's going to allow all this stuff to trade. So if you have like swords in game, and now you have all these collectibles and all other types of assets. That's what I think they're building. I mean, there might be more to it, the metaverse and all that stuff, but there's no details. I couldn't find anything on GitHub with what they're doing, Forte. But my guess would be I think things are delayed because of the case. So certain projects Ripple's invested in, funded, are on standby till the case is resolved, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I see a good question here from Crypto King, and he asks, do we need FlareX to stake Spark at the start? Flare Finance is not going to be, launching until a month after the Flare network goes live. So one way that you can, so you can, people, sometimes we say that when you're providing Spark as collateral, that you're staking it with like an agent that's managing that collateral. So you're going to be able to use your Spark to earn yield via the FTSO and by providing it as collateral in the F asset system. The FTSO will be right at launch, and then the collateral part will come like a week or two probably after the Flare network goes live. So they're just waiting for some of the volatility from the nature of this airdrop to die down before they launch the F asset system to make it easier to manage that collateral without some crazy price swings. So, you'll have about 2 weeks there where you have 2 things you can do with Spark, and then Flare Finance will go live. And then obviously you can stake in a Flare farm pool, or you can allow your Spark to be used as liquidity in a 2-sided liquidity pool for the Flare X trading. So hopefully that helps with that question there, Crypto King. That's a good one for sure.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're good.
All right. Does Singularity.net have interest in XRPL? I thought they were doing something with Cardano they moved on to.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but they're into that AI and machine learning. I think there would be more of a connection to Flare than to XRP Ledger. But hey, you never know. As these ecosystems evolve, I don't think there's definitely not going to be one blockchain to rule them all. there's going to be more and more layers built on top and applications, and the blockchains will just be abstracted to the bottom. After 5-10 years, it's not going to be just the blockchain. There'll be a whole bunch of other things built on top, applications and all type. You see it already on Ethereum. It's just unfortunate that its foundation is falling apart.
Yeah, they're like a skyscraper now. If you're to extract that out into like a building compared to a lot of other blockchains, just how many things that have built on top at this point. It's crazy.
Dual Citizen says, should I sell my link? I don't want to give financial advice here, but you know what? They have the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem on like a monopoly on it for the most part. So I don't know if they're going to be able to continue that business model with their design long term. But they have a lot of adoption. I mean, I remember Link at 43 cents and I never bought any. But yeah, I don't know. That's up to you. I don't know what to say on that. Gala is one that, yes, that'll be one of the first tokens on the Flare network. It's like 0.016 cents the last time I checked. So that's an opportunity if anyone's interested in looking. It's on BitTrue to buy. Yeah, and we don't know of any others. I don't know if Sparkles is going to have their own. I'm sure a couple others will pop up right before launch. So definitely there's going to be opportunities. So things like the Shin, or whatever that thing was called today. Shiba, whatever the hell it was. Exploding. Just look at that. That just shows that there's money and interest. So as new things develop on a Flare, maybe things won't go that high, but it's good to see that oomph is there on new projects. The money is there to dive into it. So I think that's healthy with a new network like Flare coming out. Now, if it's a bear market, and we got a couple of these questions. Well, what happens if it's a bear market all of a sudden when Flare goes live then and the bull market ends? Is it going to work? I think honestly it work out better, because I don't know if we're going to get into like a 3-year bear market. That's my opinion. But if we had a correction, I would think then everyone's looking for yield. Everyone's looking for opportunity. And Flare is all about the yield. It's not about the capital appreciation. So bull market, bear market, doesn't kind of matter if you understand it's all about stacking as much Spark as you can early on and participating, because the capital appreciation is going to come at some point, and you'll just keep earning. So we need to just add that to our repertoire besides capital appreciation now.
Well, and then you think too, like the F asset system. If the price of the F assets are going down, then you don't need as much Spark as collateral. So I mean, naturally, probably the Spark price would decline, but also, it's going to be easier for them to manage. The hard part is when the prices are skyrocketing really fast, and they need to source more Spark to be provided as collateral. So that's like, when there's the most stress on the system is when the F asset value that's already on there is starting to skyrocket.
But they have multiple ways that in real time that they could handle it. They could take the XRP, mint it to FXRP, pass it to another agent. I mean, and we've never seen an asset go up in a period of like a couple hours, thousands of %. I've never seen that. And It's not going to happen with XRP with that supply.
Yeah, for real. So I saw a good one. Jay Bishop goes, what happens after all the initial Spark rewards are giving out? Will minting F assets still be rewarded with Spark? So technically the pool will never run out unless, I guess if governance came up with some scheme to remove the rest of the Spark in that pool, but I don't really see that happening particularly. The way that the pool will always be decreasing in size and approaching zero, but never actually reach zero, as it's just going to take a percentage of the decreased supply. So that way it'll never run out. Down the road in a couple of years when it's starting to get low and there's a lot of F assets minted. Well, the idea is that the Flare network has proven successful. There's a lot of projects building on top of Flare that are providing new opportunities for people to earn yield, and they don't need to be incentivized with Spark just for holding F assets. There's going to be enough like options for them to utilize it and earn yield that way. So, the F asset rewards pools won't matter as much. Like that's the long term where we want to get to, but that's probably like a year or two out before it starts becoming that minuscule where you need to worry about that and find yield from somewhere else.
Well said. All right, they got 2 questions. We had 3, but 2 we could bunch together. Let me answer the first one first here. Harry Pritchard asked, "Hi Mickey, do you have any ideas on how the XRPL can be scaled to the 10,000 plus TPS?" They can lower the amount of validators and add a second layer of consensus. So they could break up the ordering of the transactions and the validating of them, just like David Schwartz proposed about 2 years ago. But there's other ways to scale. It doesn't need to run 10,000 transactions per second because they have payment channels. It's all built in. The payment channels is where all of that could just happen, where you just build up credit between two. I mean, I don't think we're going to see the level to where with an interledger network humming that's going to have connectors that are going to manage all this. I don't think the scaling it needs to be that high on chain. I think they could batch a lot of it through the big connectors, through the gateways and the exchanges. It's just not a network where there's going to be a bunch of retail just sending micropayments to each other. I mean, I just don't think it's a concern right now, but I do think that they should get it up over 10. That's how you would do it, though. They would have to have less UNL validators in all those rounds of consensus. It's the only way. And they expanded it. They went to 38 now. So who knows what they're doing. Speaking of, we should talk about the foundation after this. We have 2 questions here about claiming Spark while you had your XRP on an exchange. Now I'm going to repeat this. If you had your XRP on an exchange, you had it in their wallet. You can't visually see it because you didn't have it in your account. It was in Bitstamp's account, their XRP wallet. You don't have an account on the Bitstamp. You use theirs. So there's no way for you to visually see anything because you were lumped in with everyone else who was holding XRP on Bitstamp that day. So you are trusting Bitstamp because they're getting it and then they're going to distribute it to you. So that's just part of the deal when you go in an exchange. Flare can't really do anything to help you. The destination tags are only there so that it helps the exchange figure out who's who when they send in transactions. And then somebody asked about Coinbase, the same thing.
I was going to add though. So like Bitrue and Poloniex have already, shown users what they're going to get by giving them IOUs to trade. So based on what they receive, those users already know. So, I mean, it's a problem with your exchange. You would need to reach out to them,
Well, they just haven't said anything yet. He's just
exactly. Yeah, it's not on Flare. Flare doesn't really have oversight of the individuals that are part of each exchange. So yeah, if you had it on like a self-custody wallet, you can plug in your XRP address to xrpscan.com and you can see how much Spark you're going to be getting though.
Yeah, but
that's kind of cool to see.
But Sour Smurf, just so you know, I kept some on Bitstamp. Hugo said that they have a very good relationship with Bitstamp. Bitstamp's a gateway on the XRP ledger, so I would not worry. Like out of all the exchanges, that might be one of the safest, knowing that they are XRP gateway and they have a relationship with Flare. So, I think you're good. And if you're Coinbase in New York, those are the ones who got to worry.
Yeah.
and just bother the exchanges, especially when we get the code out from Flare, or they give a release date, or they start giving more info. Then just jump all over the exchanges on Twitter and get answers and answers and answers, because the Flare can't really do much for you if you held it on an exchange.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, dual citizen. I'm in New York too, but Bitstamp allowed it. I can't. It makes no sense that Coinbase said no a week before, but Bitstamp's in New York too, and they said okay. It makes no sense. And I'm sure a lot of the market makers were based out of New York too.
Yeah, Coinbase, it's a very love-hate relationship with that company for a lot of people. I feel like I mean, they're easy to use, but there's just a lot of weird things that goes on with them for sure.
You could have moved to the Coinbase wallet which is self-custody. And, if you were in New York, I think you're good if you did that. I think if you were on the Coinbase Pro wallet or Coinbase.com wallet is where you couldn't, because then they have the Coinbase non-custodial wallet. That one, I think you would be non-custodial. So, yeah.
Well, and you said you wanted to touch on Flare Foundation briefly.
Yep. So, just if everyone hasn't heard, before we wrap this up, we're not going to go too long today. Flare Foundation announced that they are running their own UNL, right? And we'd say win and a whole other.
Oh, you mean XRP Ledger Foundation?
What did I say?
Flare.
Sorry.
I assumed when you said it that you were saying Flare, so I messed that up for you.
XRP Ledger Foundation is running their own UNL. They got together. So that was announced yesterday. That's great to hear. We didn't hear details. I would expect that there's some quorum overlap or slicing where there's 2 or 3 or probably around there that overlap in both UNLs. I'm curious to know how the amendment voting would work then. Like, does the first UNL, the original one, do all the amendment voting? Because there's 175 validators and only 33 really participate in the UNL. I mean, they're all running the same software, so it kind of just does its own thing. But it's nice to see that in case something happened to those validators, they went down, the servers went down, there was some kind of incident geopolitically, there's a whole nother UNL ready to go. So it makes it more robust. But I'm curious what the plan is. You have any thoughts on that, Patty? Where they're going to go with this?
So they were kind of talking about it on the Twitch stream today.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. Weezy Win or Vici Win. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, but he was in there, so he kind of helped create it. And I think they're going to look to, hire people to be the head of that. And they're kind of, operate like a lot of other foundations do for blockchains, providing resources for people. They're posting their own unique node listing, like you said, which I actually think has 39 validators, which is one more than Ripple puts out. But, it's just another good way to, add some more decentralization in the UNL with different people, suggesting theirs or like putting them out there for people to use. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that evolves. I'm excited that they created that. I think it's just like a nice thing to have when you have a community of a lot of individuals. With like Flare Foundation and stuff, like similar things, reporting on the network.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I was thinking about what Ripple said at the end of their private ledger insights post. They said that our ultimate plan is to create a whole like web network of multiple private side chains, and they'll all overlap in different quorums. So the private ledger is still running the same XRP ledger public software. It uses the same XRP. It's just has its own, private network. It's still got to digest data from the public network if it needs to. It's got to stay in sync with it. So this kind of is in that direction where you need another UNL list. And the breakthrough is Avalanche. So if they could connect a bunch of CBDC, small UNLs together and, slice them, at least 1 or 2 quorums overlap, and then drop Avalanche on top. I mean, they have some vision they want to do, but that would be like global dominance if they ever got that far. But it puts XRP it puts the XRP public ledger in the center. These things are all just side chains on the outside of it. There's no separate price. There's no different XRP. There's no. They might have custom like nodes and software to handle higher throughput and for issuing currencies and other things, but it's still based off the same public blockchain. So like David Schwartz said, you build them and then you make the walls easy to come down. So you also need to build up the XRP ledger, its DEX, and all its functionality, and build a bunch of applications on top of it so that you have reason to. And this is why I said XRP needs as many use cases as possible. They want as many retail people holding this, using it, because it needs to get as much adoption and use, liquidity. It needs to be everywhere. So that idea that, this is just for the banks, that's the exact opposite of what Ripple wants. That would be the worst, because then they'd be less likely to use it then. they need to have no choice but to use it because it's the best asset for the job. But it's not the best asset for the job at the moment. It's just not. The XRP ledger is not at full functionality. And there's a lot of other things that still need to be done. Governance is still a little I think they need to do something with the governance on the XRP ledger. So I think we'll get there. I mean, I really truly believe that. But I don't think the XRP is ready yet for that.
Yeah, I posted some questions about asking about, updating, the consensus or governance mechanism. Wheatsy's response was that there's a lot of other things I think they need to do before they get to that point. But I was like, yeah, that's definitely fair. But, it could happen in the future for sure, especially as tech keeps advancing.
Mm-hmm. Well, David Schwartz's proposal was pretty cool. You have one really large set and then a small set, and they kind of police each other, like a balance there. So they did do some things to speed up the ledger. They started sharding. They did something with the logging. So they did speed up and harden the ledger, I think it was, with validations. And so it's definitely very efficient right now. It's definitely been fine-tuned over the last 8 years by like some of the top developers from the C++ team. So... And it's not just all Ripple people. Like if you go on GitHub, you see there's people there that are from the C++ Foundation, from other independent. Ripple doesn't do the things all unilaterally. There are other independent, foundations or organizations or standards bodies that are involved too. So,
cool.
All right. I think
on that note, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. And
cool.
Yeah, we're at about an hour.
Yeah, I just want to throw a PSA for everybody. If you haven't claimed your Spark, we have 1 month as of today to do that. And that's for anybody that had it, in a self-custody wallet. If you're on an exchange, this doesn't apply to you. So you have until June 11th, which is 30 days from now, to go and claim your Spark. And definitely take care of that if you're interested in getting it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Ben, I'm just going to respond to your question. Yeah. You might be able to sell your whole allocation, but Flare can't do anything after the network goes live. They have no more capabilities to do anything. Like, they relinquish all that. So, but you might be able to sell your whole allocation, so your whole claim. You have the rights to it, and it's only going into your Flare account. You can't change it. You can't move it. But you might be able to sell that account. I don't know. But it's yours. It's not Flare distributing it to you. It's not the Flare team. It's in a smart contract that's yours. So you have ownership of it. All right. And Joss lets us know next SEC hearing is May 21st. Does the SEC get the docs where Ripple got legal advice? One lawyer? I mean, really, Patty, what do you think of that before we go? Like, so what? If a lawyer said this thing might be a security, so what? In 2012?
Yeah, I mean, isn't the whole speculation?
If that's the case,
they said this could be viewed as a security by the SEC. Like, I don't know how that holds up. They probably get advice from tons of different people. Did they have 10 other lawyers saying, "Oh yeah, this will probably be a currency," but the SEC wants to just find one because they don't have anything at this point. That's like the least one I'm not really looking forward to that one. Yeah, doesn't seem exciting to me.
Yeah, and then if I'm the lawyer for Ripple, I would be like, well, the CFTC chairman came out publicly and wrote a legal report why XRP is not a security. And this random lawyer in 2013, the industry was like, nobody barely even knew what cryptocurrency was. So I'm also curious about that liaison guy, Kringle, who was part of the FinCEN transition team to SEC, what he said. Because that was when they called it a virtual currency, and Ripple kind of was trying to make it a point that if they're going to give in to that settlement, that they have it, called a currency and a virtual currency. So there's definitely going to be something there on that liaison guy.
Yeah, and I saw also John said and this is a good point. So he says his wife's attorney, and she says no way you get access to private consultation with your attorney. And I'm like, that's a pretty good point. What is it, like attorney-client privilege? So, can they even go after and take that kind of documentation?
Say that one more time.
That your attorney-client privilege, basically. that, you know, how are they going to get access to stuff that, you know,
Only if
Ripple
they
was
shared it
discussing with
publicly.
you?
They had to
Yeah,
share
okay.
it to
There we
somebody
go.
else,
So we'll see.
like with a third party or something. Like say they showed the document to an exchange or it was online. I don't know how they know this. And
Yeah.
it's good grasping straws. The
That's
judge is going
what
to be
I
like,
think.
enough of this garbage. Anyways, thank you everyone for the super chats. Very much appreciated. Everyone, have a great evening. We'll be back probably on, what do you think, probably Thursday night, Patty?
Yeah, we can probably do that. That sounds good.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
I'm PattyXRP.
And we're out.